Toronto joined Stage 2 of Ontario's economic recovery plan as malls, beauty salons, and drive test centres welcome eager customers.
We've been working on a nationwide mobile app that will notify users if they've been exposed to COVID-19.
A new contact tracing app aims to slow the spread of COVID-19. Humber News starts now. Hello, I'm Neil Gauntlet, coming to you with our virtual newscast from Humber College. It's Thursday, June 25th. Here's what's making news. The City of Toronto is reopening as it moves to Stage 2 this week. But even with the economic powerhouse of the province getting back to work, businesses may still face obstacles, adjusting to the new normal. Alison Gallagher has the story.
After 3 months, Torontonians were able to shop at their local mall and get haircuts again as the city entered Stage 2 of reopening this week. While Toronto's reopening is an essential part of getting Ontario's economy back on track, the path to recovery is still uncertain.
In terms of whether or not Toronto's opening accelerates or slows down the progress of the economy in the rest of the province, I think that's almost anyone's guess.
The reopening could also be a relief for smaller communities like Sauble Beach, where officials recently reclosed their beach after visitors from the GTA had disregarded local guidelines. In Kingston, Professor Kenneth Wong recalls a similar instance throughout the city's patios.
On Friday, we opened up our patios for the first time. And surprise, surprise, we were inundated with folks from Toronto and the US. And most of those folks, regrettably, were not adhering to our conventions.
Even with Toronto's economy starting again, the city's current financial losses could be felt across the rest of the province.
Because Toronto is the most populous city, when the TTC runs into $100 million of revenue loss because nobody's riding the buses, it isn't going to come just out of Toronto's budget. It's going to be felt in tax bills paid by everybody in this province.
As long as businesses have to follow physical distancing guidelines, Wong says many accommodations will have to be made for businesses to gain back lost revenues.
You know, we've opened up our patios, but you still have social distancing, which effectively reduces the capacity of a restaurant by 50%. So now the restaurants are asking the city, well, can you shut down part of the street to let us expand our patio space and recover some of this?
Ontario's deficit is expected to reach over $40 billion this year, and as most of the province has now reached Stage 2, many are now eagerly awaiting the move to Stage 3 in the next few weeks. Alison Gallagher for Humber News.
For a lot of people in the city, moving to Stage 2 means getting back to shopping malls. Yorkdale Mall, one of Toronto's biggest, where it's often hard just to get a parking spot, drew at least some early bird shoppers. Yorkdale Mall was among the Toronto malls that welcomed customers this week after being forced to close as a non-essential service since March 24th. While some consumers were happy to line up outside of stores and took pleasure in browsing the racks, others are feeling more cautious of what this could mean for the city as we try to flatten the curve.
I'm on the fence about it. It is a good and a bad thing. I guess it's a good thing for our economy, more money coming in, but I still feel it's not completely safe.
As the city moves into this new phase, businesses are encouraging customers to practice physical distancing measures and sanitize regularly. The 3-month pandemic has seen a lot of people foregoing haircuts and body grooming. For many, other long-awaited reopenings included the hair salons and beauty parlors. As Rachel Dial reports, workers in this sector are also getting back to business.
For many, the shutdown of beauty salons during the pandemic has meant foregoing bi-weekly visits to the beauty parlor. For a lot of beauty salon employees, the reopening as part of Stage 2 is good news, but the pandemic will require that they do things a little differently.
The thing with us is that we won't be doing any facial contact. So we are not doing any facial services such as waxing your face or threading or any like spa facials at all. The only thing we will be doing is body services, which is actually really good. So my close contact would be not super close, like face to face wise. Clients will have to be wearing masks at all times.
Some of these new guidelines will extend beyond those working in the salons to the customers who come to them.
Also be doing new consent forms in terms of coming into the salon like after getting their screenshots done. They will be doing consent forms to make sure that they haven't traveled or anything. So we are taking different measures.
In some beauty salons like the Body Bar Toronto located downtown, employees will also be wearing personal protective equipment. Training for many on the new requirements started this week. I'm Rachel Dial, Humber News.
From grooming to fitness, outdoor yoga domes give consumers an opportunity to practice yoga safely during this pandemic. A new pop-up event hosted by Elements Outdoor Studio has provided a new approach to practice yoga. Geodesic domes have been set up outdoors for users to have a personal fitness experience.
The event is a hot yoga and fitness event. It occurs in 50 private clear geodesic bubbles, domes. People get to experience different studios, experience different trainers, and there's 5 to 6 classes daily with a variety of different types of workouts.
This event is intended as a way to help the community relax during this pandemic.
We did this because we wanted to give back to the community. Everybody's been really cooped up for the last few months and haven't been able to go out, the innovative way kind of the setup of this event is that allows us to do this in a safe and responsible way where people get to enjoy a fitness activity, like a group fitness activity in a private environment.
Holland Philpott says it's a welcome relief for her.
It was particularly great because I've missed that connection piece being in quarantine, and it was so nice and aesthetically really beautiful, and I really enjoyed actually sweating and getting all the toxins and negativity out of my body a bit.
The hot yoga and fitness classes will run till July 31st at the Stanley Barracks located at Hotel X, Toronto. This week, drive test centers also opened their doors to long lineups of people wanting to get their driver's licenses. Anukul Thakur is at Downsview Park.
At the Downsview Drive Test Center, people were lined up around the corner well before dawn. Gurdeep Dhillon has been here since morning.
I came at 6:30.
How was it at 6:30 in the morning?
It was a full line was up to the back of the street. They can do something more because it's too slow.
He says there should be washrooms for people waiting outside.
Outside there's no washroom. I didn't go inside because I don't know about inside if there is washroom accessible or not. But
in order to help with social distancing, people are allowed entry basis their birth months. Those born January to June are allowed this week. July to December birthdays will be allowed next week. This will cycle weekly until full services resume in the fall. Jalen Jones, who nearly waited 4 hours, says the physical distancing measures implemented inside the center are well planned.
It's very good. It's organized. So they have sections for people, columns, and they only allow 4 people per line, and you are distanced inside, so 2 meters apart.
If you're planning to get your driving license, do not forget to carry a face mask and a little patience. Anukul Thakur, Humber News.
Elementary students can expect to learn coding and budgeting when they hit the books this fall, as the Ontario government unveils a new math curriculum. Lucy Lau has the story.
It's clear that a lot has changed since 2005, and our children's education needs to change with it.
That's how the Ontario government introduced a new math curriculum for elementary students, one that focuses on what Education Minister Stephen Lecce calls critical life skills.
For the first time, all students will learn how to code. Starting in grade 1, computational thinking will give our students that competitive advantage.
The curriculum also teaches financial planning and social emotional skills. It'll launch this September for students in grades 1 to 8. Lecce says EQAO math testing for grades 3 and 6 will be canceled for the school year so students can adjust to the new program.
And we don't want to impose any stress on our young people. We want them to focus on adapting to this learning and to a curriculum that I think really reflects the priorities of parents and ultimately the necessary skill sets required in the job market.
But one parent says the curriculum's rollout is ill-timed with the pandemic.
Our kids are going to need to catch up on a lot that they've fallen behind on in terms of academics, but also emotionally. It's going to be a big deal for kids to go back to school, no matter how it looks.
Hewitt says a new math curriculum should be far down the province's list of priorities. She says the government should be helping students by investing in public schools and lowering tuition to universities and colleges.
It's really disrespectful to talk about our children's future when they're absolutely doing none of those things and instead sort of introducing new curriculum.
The government has launched a website outlining the new program, but Hewitt wants to see additional resources for parents who now have to get their kids up to speed.
I will say that I struggle a lot with supporting my kids in math currently, and I do wonder if the province plans on providing any supports to parents for helping kids with this new curriculum.
For now, both parents and students will have to sit tight and see how the school year unfolds. Lucy Lau, Humber News.
As businesses are reopening in Ontario, the federal government is planning to launch a Bluetooth-based contact tracing app to manage and trace COVID-19 cases. Shruti Mehra has the story.
We're taking an important step forward toward containing the virus and safely restarting the economy. Led by the Canadian Digital Service and with the help of Shopify, BlackBerry, and the Government of Ontario, we've been working on a nationwide mobile app that will notify users if they've been exposed to COVID-19.
It's called COVID Alert, the app intended to be completely voluntary. It will be tested in Ontario before rolling out in the rest of the country. Designers hope a sense of collective responsibility will encourage people to make use of the technology.
Every one of us is willing to wear a face mask, right? And the app is the electronic face mask. So we just have to get the message out there that the app, it's not helping you, it's helping the person that have not been infected, that you actually have not met. These are the persons that you are helping.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford ensures citizens' privacy is a priority, pointing to the app using Bluetooth signals rather than GPS.
I want to be clear. Personal privacy was our #1 priority as we work to develop this app.
Ontario Digital Service is working closely with the Provincial Information and Privacy Commissioner to form guidance in compliance with Ontario's access and privacy laws.
All the data that is necessary for contact tracing already exists. So we have Apple and Google know all the time where you are. So we have a database of where you are all the time with your phone number. And we have a health database on the other side where we know whether or not you have been tested positive, and we have your phone number. So it would be trivial to just join the two and use that for contact tracing.
The app is part of Ontario's comprehensive case and contact management strategy and will be available to download on Apple and Android devices from July. I am Shruti Mehra for Humber News.
Indian protests and calls for boycotts continue after violent clashes last week at the India-China border. Kajal Pawar has the story.
Protesters in North India hold a mock funeral for Chinese President Xi Jinping, an expression of their anger towards China's tensions surge. Chaotic border clashes last week claimed the lives of 20 Indian soldiers.
This was a violent kind of standoff, but it didn't involve the use of ammunitions or arms. Rather, it was much kind of a brutal kind of a standoff because you had the Chinese side using sticks that were studded with iron nails.
The dispute occurred on the rocky terrain of Galwan Valley in a direct hand-to-hand combat. The boundary dispute within India and China has lasted for over 3 decades now.
In Galwan Valley region has, kind of sparked a new kind of tension between, not just between the governments, but between the people of the countries as well. Before this, you had the government level kind of a standoff, but now every person knows after this incident, every person is showing of their anger against
And
the Chinese administration.
in New Delhi, several army veterans were detained after their attempt to protest outside the Chinese embassy. The Indian Foreign Ministry reported that there were casualties on both sides, while the Chinese ministry confirmed that there had been a violent physical confrontation, but did not mention anything about the casualties. I'm Kajal Pawar for Humber News.
Meanwhile, in Mexico, a large 7.5-degree earthquake hit the southern part of the country this Wednesday, causing damage and fear. Oaxaca, a southern city in Mexico, was the epicenter of the 7.5-degree earthquake which struck during the COVID-19 pandemic. Other cities, including Mexico City, were also affected by the earth tremor, forcing people to leave their homes and other buildings. This included hospitals, which had to be evacuated. Patients with IVs and those in wheelchairs were removed from the hospitals along with all of the medical staff. 95% of the city alarm sounded 62 seconds before the earthquake arrived. People decided to stay together during this difficult moment to protect each other and their belongings, in case any thieves might take advantage during this time. Some homes were seriously damaged, forcing people to leave them and seek out other places to live or to stay while the situation calmed down. Landslides were also a consequence of this earthquake. 5 people were declared dead because of the tremor. The last major earthquake Mexico experienced happened in September 2017. It lasted almost 2 minutes and more than 300 people died. While in Italy, vibrations of a more pleasant sort were experienced. Some blues musicians found a creative way to float their festival for audiences, an effort to maintain social distancing without stopping the music. Blues musicians took to the water in borrowed fishing boats to play for the audience on shore at Lake Trasimeno in Umbria, Italy. Organizers of the annual festival thought of the idea to allow people to attend without the risk of being too close to each other. Some audience members were able to get a little closer to the music by paddling out themselves. Concerts were allowed to start again in Italy from June 15th, as lockdown restrictions started to ease in the country. That's all for today. I'm Neil Gonput. Humber News is written and produced by the students in the journalism program. For more coverage, visit our website, humbernews.ca, and follow us on Twitter at HumberJRNL. We'll see you again next time.